Hey, in today's video, I'll be talking about LLM as a reasoning engine and multi-agent concepts and things that you have to really watch out when you do these things because there are quite a few gotchas. And I will also explain you how in Waylay we can get around some of these issues. But let's start with a simple example that I showed in one of the previous videos where we want to create a very simple multi-agent game where you're gonna throw the dice multiple times, and then in case that my guess was correct, then I create alarm just for fun. So what does it mean to have the multi-agent LLMs? Basically, that means that you turn every API, what we used to call API marketplace, into the agent marketplace, saying something like, okay, I want to create alarm, so this is my, for instance, an API call, which needs text, severity, type, and resource, and I want to turn that API into the agent. Yeah? That means in our framework that will take the plugin descriptor, take this plug, give in the version, and then we will read out what are the input arguments, and these will be descriptions of a function that needs to be injected to LLM, so it knows what to do with that. Yeah? So what I've done here, I have actually wrapped the API of throwing the dice into the agent. Similarly, I did the same thing for creating the alarm. And then in the LLM box, if you like, I created a system prompt that your role is to throw the dice, and if the guess is correct, create an alarm. That's all what I'm saying. And I have a descriptions of these two plugs or agents given to the LLM. That's all what I'm doing. In order to test that, what I'm gonna do is, let me go quickly back here. Please bear with me. So this is just a moment where I have too many things open. Yeah, this is my bot or a template. So I'm just gonna say set bot to this guy. And I'll say throw the dice 3 times, and if it is at least once one, create. Yeah. Do I trust LLM that it will throw it 3 times? Probably yes. Am I gonna also trust that he's gonna make alarm based on the outcomes? I think it's easy to assume that he's gonna, or it is gonna know what to do. Yeah. Okay, I will have to do it a couple of times because I'm not getting the alarm. Okay, so no luck yet. If I want to increase my chance, I will just say if it is not once one, yeah, it's gonna be quicker. There you go. I've got it once. Funny. That's funny. Okay, there it goes, my test. Okay, though. So the thing is that it did not know now that, okay, it knew that it had to create alarm, but it knew that there are a couple of things that I didn't say, and one of them is severity level. Yeah. So I had to say something, a create alarm of the severity major. Yeah. Okay, so if you now go back to the console, let me go here, you will see the dice alert was created. Notice I didn't tell it anything about description, and it figured it out for itself, yeah, without me telling. The description is die throws did not result in 1. That's already a very interesting thing. It figured out, okay, since I didn't give a description, I will figure out something, which is most reasonable thing to do. Think about it later. if you want to create a ticket, is it something you really want to delegate to LLM or not? Because otherwise you have to say these things, or at least say in the code. Now, the next thing I will do is actually a more serious use case, where I will say that my car is broken, and I will look for a car rental service. Now, one way to do that is to say, okay, I'm going to have a contract agent, I'm going to have the rental agent, I'm going to have the location agent, and I will then let LLM decide based on my inputs how to interrogate each of these agents to do computation and then send me a car. Now, we know that LLM sometimes is not good at even doing the mathematical calculation unless it's well trained on these things. So already start wondering, is it something you want to delegate to the LLM to call different agents to figure out these things for itself and then give you the car? I don't know. And in order to avoid these sort of problems, in Waylay you can actually create a subflows where you really have, if you like, these agents under control and still provide a higher level of the functions to the reasoning engine, but you do not let it hallucinate, if you like, where you do not really want this to happen. What I mean by that is the following. Let's say that I'm interested in the car service, where given the user and the contract, here I'm just going to click test, just to give you one of the typical contracts for leasing, where there is also conditions if something is broken, where you can get a car or not, and what is the daily rate. So I want to get a car that is applicable to this given rate. Then I'm going to look for a location of the closest rental service given the contract that needs to be followed. That is to say, here I'm checking if I have a right to get a car, and then here that is the daily rate that I'm allowed to have from my car allowance contract, and then I will get the car. Yeah? If I test that like any other subflow, if you like, I can test it given the customer ID, longitude and latitude, because I have to come to the closest rental service, and I see what happens. I'm sure that this works, and I'm sure that I'm exposing the right APIs and input and outputs and calculation. But what I lack, and this is what you see here, I still don't know the customer, neither I know its location, because it is changing. Yeah? Now, this is something that we can delegate to another agent or another API. So let's see how we've done that part. Yeah? I have a location service, which is this guy here, that given the phone number, can give me the right location and the user. Yeah? Again, you can imagine that coming from the phone or from other service, but this is typically what you can get. Yeah? So I'm letting so-called location agent to be used by LLM at its disposal. Now, if I'm looking at the rental service, remember the customer ID and the location, I'm using this template as a function. And in the description, I'm saying for the latitude, it will come from the location service. I'm instructing LLM, before you run these things, it will come from another agent. I'm doing the same thing for a longitude. And for customer ID, I'm saying, there is a typo here, is that customer ID will come as a name from the location service. And then in the LLM, next to description of the functions, I'm telling it, look, you're a card service agent, and the only thing you will be asked to provide is a phone number, and then you can proceed. Once you start talking to the other person, then please use the name, because it finds from the location service. Don't anymore make it personal. But notice is that it's the only thing I'm saying. Given the response, talk to that person, and that's it. While the template to find the rental service was, like I said, a subflow. Yeah? Now, if I take this thing here now into my bot and say set bot to this guy, I'm going to say my car is broken. Now the LLM will say, well, can you provide me a phone number? Because if I look back to here, this is basically what I said here. Your car service agent, but you cannot proceed unless you have a phone number. I will just take again here, because I have done this test before, one of the test phone numbers, and I will say here my phone is this. What's going to happen now is going to look at the location service for the phone number, get these locations, and execute the next subflow. But this time I'm letting that subflow decide what is the closest location, what is the where I need to get, and that's it. And this is the car I'm gonna get. Yeah? I can also now ask, what is my contract? Now this is the funny part, because the contract was queried through the subflow. It was one of the APIs that has given this thing to me. So basically I can check now here what was actually my contract, what's my car, and why I got Tesla. Now, sometimes you actually want to hide that. In this case, I let it happen. How you can control that? It's here. There was a contract which was dumped as the log back to the LLM. So LLM grabbed that and it was able to answer that question, even though I have asked him, even if I didn't actually specify, they can answer this question. If I want to suppress that, I can click here, and from then onwards, we will actually not pass this information, all logs from the subflows to the LLM. And that way we can control what the LLM it can see. Yeah? Now, how funny this thing can be, I can just say something like, where am I? Now, the funny part is that I use the location service. So LLM remembered not just my phone number, which I used to pass it to the contract. It also needed longitude and latitude. So it's giving that me information as well. And if I now ask it, where is that exactly? I did a typo, doesn't matter. I'm good in typos. It will tell me around Palo Alto. Because what we did, we used one of the, if you like, open AI LLMs, and they've been trained on everything. Yeah? Sometimes this is good, sometimes not so good. So what I want to say is that sometimes you want to provide just a set of steps, and then you, even on that level, you can sandbox, so to speak, LLM, and not even let him answer things that are not supposed to be asked. But that we'll discuss in the next video. Hope you enjoy this. Thank you very much.